Welcome to Sketchy Ideas, the live video podcast where we illustrate and debate concepts surrounding leadership, business, and personal achievement in a way that might make you think twice before you implement that new idea you just learned about on the internet. Hi, I'm Michael Rampolla, one of your co-hosts for the show. And for this very special episode of Sketchy Ideas, powered by Cream City Marketing and Spirity, we're going to go behind the whiteboard to talk about this very simple tool and how you can use it to your great advantage in your business. Now, these whiteboards that Brad and I use every week in this podcast and every day in our business, they're a piece of technology. It's lo-fi technology, it's analog technology, but it's still technology. Now, what makes them powerful is the low barrier to entry. Low barrier to entry. The costs are reasonable. The learning curve is pretty low. You already know how to use that, you know how to write, you know how to draw. And because they're analog technology, there's very little chance for technical difficulties that get in the way of you using your whiteboard and getting to a successful outcome. So if we just hang the whiteboard on the wall, so to speak, and use it occasionally, it would still produce some tangible value for us. More on hanging the whiteboard here in just a minute. Now, if we want to multiply that value, that's a different conversation. If we want to multiply the value and make it a powerful tool in your sales and leadership arsenal, then we're going to need to enhance it a bit with some simple digital tools. Let's talk about the analog part first. Whiteboard, check. Let's talk about hanging the whiteboard. This is a pretty simple hack, if you will, but it's one I want to encourage you to use. So this whiteboard is hanging here on my wall. I've got a curtain up because the curtain produces a consistent visual background for me in the whiteboard. But there's really no way for me to go behind the whiteboard or behind the curtain because that's just a wall. That's not really going to do us any good. The trick, if you will, for me hanging the whiteboard is, you can maybe see it off on the corner there, it's a lanyard. It's a conference lanyard. I've got two conference lanyards hanging my whiteboard because my whiteboard doesn't align to studs perfectly on my wall. So those lanyards hooked on properly mounted screws-in studs enables my whiteboard to be right where I want it. It also enables me to take it down really quickly and easily if I want to use this space for just about anything else. So my whiteboard is mobile in a sense. I can put it up and take it down. Obviously, more often than not, I'm leaving it up. But that's one little simple thing that I did. Those lanyards enabling me to connect this to studs enables this whiteboard to go up and come down as needed. We're still in an analog world, but that's how to get a whiteboard mounted pretty easily in just about any space. Now, here are the essentials. I've got three categories here of how to upgrade your whiteboard. Essentials, advanced, and pro / the nerd category. That's where I'm at, obviously. Here's a couple pro things. Here's a couple essentials that I'm going to say. And I'm not endorsed by Expo, but I feel like I should be because there is only one brand that I actually recommend using. I bought a bunch. Black Expo markers are my go-to. I just picked up another couple dozen last week. They're about $9 a dozen. It's worth it because if you use nothing else, in the essentials category, if you use the proper markers, you're going to get clear visuals and they're super reliable. And if you buy them in bulk, like by the dozen or two, you won't feel so bad when they run out. And when they run out, they are not coming back. I'm just telling you, I've tried everything. When they die, they're not coming back. Make sure you get the cap back on them. Just toss and grab another one. That's that. Essential number one, the markers. Essential number two is the microfiber cloth. You might have seen me use this before. Microfiber cloth for erasing. You can buy the erasers, the black erasers with the thing on, but these are super efficient and super simple to use. Cost 50 cents. These are actually from the dollar store. They come in a 2-pack. They're the automotive section. They're for the ones in the automotive or sometimes in the cleaning section. A yellow, neon yellow one, used to be neon yellow, I promise, and a blue one, $1 for 2. And they work better than anything else I've found. So that's number 2 is the microfiber cloth. Now, here's where my whiteboard gets an upgrade. You might have noticed these little orange triangles in the corner. All right, they're called beacons, B-E-A-C-O-N, beacons. They come from a company called Rocketbook, and you might have seen their notebooks before. But the beacons from Rocketbook are how I take this analog whiteboard and make it digital on a consistent basis. When I wrap up a meeting and I've got a bunch of notes behind me, I need a way to get those notes into a digital format quickly so I can move on to my next meeting, erase the whiteboard, and keep on rolling. And the beacons are how I do that. Now, I've got the DIY version up here in the essentials category. Here's why. Company Rocketbook. Let me just grab their thing. So those are the beacons. I'm not going to take them off because I'm going to need them here in a minute. But they actually encourage you. They have a tutorial on their website about how to make your own. to see if it really works. And that's what I did. When I first thought, these look pretty cool. Let's see if they work. I found the tutorial on their website. They tell you, encourage you how to make your own. And they're really easy. I take bright orange paper, cut 2.5-inch squares, slice them to make triangles, and put them in the corners. That's the DIY version. Try that and see if it works for you. If it works for you and it gets into your workflow and you feel like it's pretty awesome, then I'm going to encourage you to go for the upgrade. We'll talk about the upgrade here in a minute. So markers were at, by the way, I want to talk cost because you're running a business. Money matters. Assuming you have the whiteboard costs vary, but assuming you have the whiteboard marker, the markers are $9 for a dozen. Microfiber cloths, I got $2 for $1. Beacons, the DIY version's free. Make sure that's showing up. The DIY version is free, and it's encouraged by the company to make sure that's going to work for you. And then a mobile device. If you already have a mobile device, phone or tablet, you got that one. And the Rocketbook app that you're going to need, that one's free. So I'm not in for much more than $10, $12 at this point. Pretty good start. That's in the essentials category. Why do these beacons matter? I got to show you what this does. Here's what the beacons do. When I use the Rocketbook app, I can take a picture. Let me share my screen. It is sharing. All right, good. Let me share so here's what this looks like. When I pull up the Rocketbook app on my phone and I hit the camera icon, here's what happens next. Let me rotate this so you can see what happens. Oh, come on, rotate. There we go. What's happening is that's taking a picture. Give it a second. There we go. Let me get out of the shot. And it's able to recognize where those orange triangles are in the corners, takes that image and it squares it up. So I'm going to click on this and show you what that looks like when it's done. So it's going to take that picture. It's automatically going to find the corners. And once it does that, give it a second. Come on. It's actually going to take that and square it up and make it all nice and neat and tidy. What that allows me to do, oh, come on. There we go. What that allows me to do is have a digital image of my whiteboard that's already been squared and cropped and is ready to go. A couple more clicks and this thing sends off to email, uploads to your favorite cloud share. I even throw mine into Evernote, all in a few quick clicks. Those images are pretty clear. It's pretty clear for coming at such a skewed angle as you saw. So that's the app, and it's a free app from Rocketbook, and that's what the beacons let me do. Those beacons let me take the whiteboard, as you see it, and turn it into a digital image that I then throw into my sharing tool of choice, and I roll on. I can quickly erase and go on to the next meeting. That's when things get pretty cool. Now, that's in the essentials category. If you start doing that and discover this is pretty great, and I want to keep doing this, here's a couple simple ways to upgrade from the essentials category to advanced. More Expo markers, but in this case, I'm going to add the other colors, the basics, right? Blue, green, red. You're not going to use red much. Blue is probably going to be your go-to number 2. As you can see, the green is okay, but the clarity isn't always the best. Anyway, so upgrade your Expo marker game. Have lots of black. Add a few accents. Blue, green, and red are a good way to go. Number 2, cleaning spray. Because if you do use this thing on a regular basis, you're going to be cleaning it with that cloth. Again, I'm going to DIY this one. Little spray bottle from the dollar store again. Half and half rubbing alcohol and bottled water. Half and half rubbing alcohol, bottled water makes as good a cleaning spray as you'll buy, from the commercial brands. I keep mine in a little bottle so I can just spray and use it as needed. So again, low cost, high value, because if you use this thing on a regular basis, you're going to want to clean it too. And now the real beacons, they're $15. When you see what else they can do, you're going to be like, that is a really worthwhile investment if you're using this whiteboard on a regular basis and you think it could enhance your game. So $15 for the beacons. They're available on Amazon. They're available through the Rocketbook site. I feel like I should have affiliate links, but anyway, that's what you need for that. And then maybe upgrading. If you do this all the time, I'm going to just say, just get a quick phone tripod. Maybe this little mount, right? That's from a selfie stick. That was I think $1. Maybe $5 for a tripod. So get something like that where you can just have this thing set up and ready to go. You're going to get more clear shots and be a little bit easier. So that's a simple upgrade. And the other one is the headset. So you probably picked up on the fact that I have a Bluetooth headset. Well, here's the trick of the Bluetooth. If I'm using this constantly, and I am, especially if I'm using it actively in the middle of a meeting, my face isn't always going to be facing any microphone that I have mounted in one position. But by having my person I'm talking with in my ears and having the mic right here, I'm much more able to turn and still have clear sound no matter where I'm looking. So if you don't have that, if your microphone is mounted near your computer, if you're using a computer mic, you're not going to be able to get that clear sound. And every time you turn to the whiteboard, people are going to lose you. And you're going to be much more likely to use this if you can, wherever you look, people are going to be able to hear you clearly. So the Bluetooth headset, your choice on that one is, I would call that in the advanced category. If you find yourself using the whiteboard a lot, these are some things that are going to really enable you to stay in your workflow and do that. Let's go to the pro or the nerd category. Pro nerd category. Now, get some more markers. I don't use a ton more colors than this typically, but make sure you choose something that looks like the bold colors. There's some different packages of markers. Stay in Expo. Trust me on this one. You can add some bold colors. Purple's a favorite of mine. There's also some other dark tints of blue and red and that kind of thing. You can do that if you end up getting very colorful, but more often than not, you're going to find yourself going back to the black and sometimes the blue. At least if you're me, you do. Here's the upgrade on the cleaning kit. Again, we're back to the dollar store. The car wash mitt. I know that looks cheesy, but when you are running from virtual meeting to virtual meeting and you need to clean this thing off quickly, throwing one of these on and just clearing the whole board in a matter of a few seconds is amazing. I'm okay being cheesy. I'm okay telling you that I use a car wash mitt to clean my whiteboard because that's all I use it for. And then this and those other things get thrown in the wash pretty easily. But make sure you don't wash them with things you really care about because they're full of marker. A dedicated second device. Now, if you find yourself grabbing, digitizing the whiteboard a lot, you might actually find yourself going to the point that you want a live, constantly updating view of the whiteboard. And for that, that's when you're going to want a dedicated second device. Okay, so I'm actually using my phone right now to run what I'm about to show you, but I usually just keep my phone handy, and then I have a second old Android. That's what's hooked up here. An old Android, screen's even cracked. Doesn't really matter. Running that Rocketbook app I talked to you about earlier. That plus a full tripod enables me to do this next thing. Here's where it gets fun. So I showed you how to use the Rocketbook app. Click, take a picture, it turns it into a digital. All right, let's show you one other way to look at it. So I'm going to go back here to my share. I'm going to go back to the capture screen. And there's another way to capture images. So right now it's doing that, take a picture, turn it digital. But there's this other option up here called Snapcast. When I turn on Snapcast, here's what happens. Let's give it a second to go. When I turn on Snapcast, now this is going to take a constant series of pictures. You're going to see those pictures start to get dropped down into the lower bar, and that lower bar is actually going to update too here in just a second. And you'll see that as I turn on the Snapcast mode, now I get a URL. If you look behind this, what I've actually been sharing all this time is this view. So this is a website that is broadcasting in real time what my phone is capturing with the Rocketbook app. And as you can see, it's already squaring it up. You just do a little bit of proof here. So this is I'll go over here. So I'm using a second dedicated device. It's mounted on a full tripod with an adjustable phone mount, which I'll show you here in a minute. I'm using real beacons. And because I'm using all those things, plus don't forget my Bluetooth headset together, you'll see that now when I'm capturing images, I got to step out of the way so it gets a good clean grab. You'll see that view of the whiteboard is actually getting updated. Not quite in real time, but about every 5 to 15 seconds, depending on your settings. I think I confused it. Here's my reset. Take that off, it should refind it. So because I'm able to use the tool in that way, now I have the ability to have this whiteboard updating on a regular basis. And if I'm in Zoom, which is what I typically use, then I do a share screen, and that screen is what's getting shared. There we go, now it's updating. So that's now great. Go ahead and start with the DIY versions and play around with it and see if this works for you. And eventually then you're going to want to upgrade to the real one, I promise. Whoop. And sometimes if you're standing in front of the whiteboard when it tries to grab an image, it's going to get a little bit wonky. You got to give it a second and it'll update, I promise. There we go. Now we should have it. There, much better. Is it perfect? No. Is it pretty cool? Yeah. Why am I telling you all this? Because I want you to up your game. I want you to be able to visualize ideas with people. And when you're talking with people and you know that a picture is going to tell that story much better than you will, or you want to make sure that you're hearing somebody correctly and show them what they're telling you, the good old-fashioned analog whiteboard is a great way to do it. It's a reliable tool that's going to enable you to improve your game. I guarantee it. Would love to hear and see your success stories about this once you get a chance to try it out. We'll add some of the links and some of these resources into the show notes so you have what you need to get started. But at the basic level, get your whiteboard up, grab some expo markers, and start having some fun. And Brad and I will take it as a personal tribute that you are using your whiteboards to find greater success. There is no proprietary agreement on a whiteboard. It's just a tool that enables you to do what you do better, whatever that thing is. And if we can help you do that, if Sketchy Ideas has somehow inspired you, well, again, we would take that as a great honor. Listen, that was a quick one today, but I wanted you to get a sense of some other ways that you can use whiteboards to your great advantage. Take that analog technology and make it digital. That does it for this week's episode of Sketchy Ideas, powered by Cream City Marketing and Spherity. You just learned all about how to take your virtual meetings to the next level by adding a little digital enhancement to this humble analog technology we call the whiteboard. In next week's episode, Brad will be going solo on his own to explore some behind-the-scenes concepts as well. So in the meantime, send us your questions, send us your ideas, give us your inspiration for our next show. You can send that all to info@sketchyideasshow.com. One of us or our producer will get back to you with answers and a response. And hey, if you want to come as a guest on the show, hit us up there as well. We'd love to have you. We'd love to visualize some ideas for you and help you advance on your road to success. Next week, we'll see you again. It'll be Brad and his turn, and I know you'll come back to see that, and we will look forward to being back together for dueling whiteboard style in the new year. In the meantime, remember, just because it's a sketchy idea doesn't mean it's not worth exploring. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.